Welcome one and all to today's video. Who saw that coming? We are doing a car review. We are taking a look on the Porsche Macan, the small engine version, 2 liter, 252 horsepower, here in Berlin. And the reason for that is that currently we are driving a Mini Countryman SD, the diesel version. And as you may have heard of all the Dieselgate and such, cities are more and more unwelcoming diesels, and eventually we need to start taking a look on what alternatives we would get. And I wanted to see what it is to drive a twice as expensive, more luxury segment car. So from my side, I like the design. It's a little bit smaller version of the Cayenne, but for my taste the Cayenne is too large. I don't like such big SUVs, and the Macan is about the largest size I would personally get. It's 4 meter 68 long, 1 meter 92 wide, and weighs 1.8 ton with a wheelbase of 2 meter 80. Of course, the ignition is still on the left side as usual for Porsche, inherited from all the first race cars. And although I'm pretty happy with our Mini Countryman, which is also already quite nice to the touch, this leather and buttons are of course a little bit higher level of premium, especially with all the leather everywhere and the middle console with the shifter. I heard that you need to be careful to configure the color of the gauge cluster. The standard color is some light gray or something, and it's hard to read, so you probably want to make sure that you get something readable. So overview of the interior, glove box, nice leather seats, a little bit higher quality, obviously, leather stitching, seat controls, multi-way, motorized. It's an option for the passenger seat, so by default you don't get this for the passenger seat, it's an optional extra. And fancy new features like traffic sign recognition, nicely visible in the gauge cluster. The Macan is only available as automatic with Porsche Doppelkupplungsgetriebe, PDK, Porsche double clutch transmission, armrest, storage box, cup holders, the usual things. More features we currently don't have: rear view camera. In the center console, obviously all the hardware buttons, which I much prefer over software controls, two-way climate control, seat heating, sport suspension mode and disabling automatic start-stop function, as well as ESP and such. And coming to the audiophile part of this video, let's test the Bose sound system with Bluetooth pairing. And I have to say, although we have the Harman Kardon option in the Mini Countryman, this sounds even better. Plenty of bass. This navigation multimedia system is also way more responsive than the 6-year-old in our Mini Countryman. Everything is more snappy. As computer scientist, I always find things to complain about, so in my opinion some of the menus could be a little bit better sorted, especially going to the navigation back and forth and putting the address is not the most intuitive. You probably get used to it, but using it the first time it's not really clear how to go to the map or to the route, and it was slightly confusing that you have two options for this. And also when I wanted to see the map, I could not always get to the map overview, something. However, certainly something you get used to after a while. The only thing I wonder is, while in general it was quite snappy and fast, doing the actual calculation for the route took a little bit longer than I think even in our 6-year-old Countryman.
Die Route wird berechnet.
It's calculating here quite a bit, and so you probably don't change the route too often.
Achtung, die Route enthält verkehrsbedingte Verzögerungen von 8 Minuten. Bitte fahren Sie zur angezeigten Route.
So let's take a look on the engine. As I said, this is intentionally the small motor because I care about the environment a little bit more, and I wanted to see what the actual consumption is in real life. And although Porsche said this is a Porsche engine, as far as I found on the internet, I think it's a Volkswagen Group inline 4, and only the V6 are Porsche engines as far as I found. So you probably find some Audi parts in there or something. So it looks like this air vents there are functional. I guess there is some air routed through there. So the side intakes there are closed. However, there are different versions of this for the S and Sport package and GTS and such. So for the trunk, this is motorized, unlike our more old-fashioned Countryman, and the trunk space is much larger than what we currently have. 500 liters or so, and when you use the back seats, it's 1500 liter cargo space. Like so often, second layer here for the straight floor for the emergency stuff, as well as to put some additional things. So while the front area and cargo space looks more spacious than our Mini Countryman, the rear seats are not really more spacious, so I cannot really sit there comfortable, to my surprise, and I would need to move the front seat to the front to get some more space. So this is how these controls look like. Currently we don't have this electric movement for the seats, of course some nice luxury thing to have, not really that required for anything, but like this. As I said, I don't really think it's more spacious than what we currently have, and headroom is also not really more. I actually hit the ceiling there already, so you probably don't want to be 1.80 meters to sit there. You also have here some space for drinks, some cup holders. And as usual for more luxury cars, here's some vents with temperature control and 2 USB power outlets. Things that we currently don't have in the Mini Countryman again. And here, nice quality, nice door handles. So let's get to the driving part of this video, what you've all been waiting for. So this is now with the GoPro, so sound is not amazing.
Jetzt bitte wenden und der Brunolf-Bade-Straße weiter folgen.
Zielführung beenden.
Die Zielführung wurde abgebrochen.
So the drive is actually much more comfortable than in our Countryman SD, where we have also run flat tires, which according to the Porsche salesperson is not an option at Porsche, so I in general would not recommend running flat tires. I have the feeling they are extraordinarily hard. Next challenge, finding a German Autobahn somewhere around Berlin without speed limit, and then wait for it, wait for it. reaching 219 kilometers per hour took quite a bit, but again, this is intentionally the small engine. The biggest I would personally get, 2 liter, 250 horsepower. I would not want to waste more gasoline. If you need more power, obviously just get the V6 or a proper sports car like the Cayman, Boxster or even the 911. If you want to drive way more sporty than this, obviously this is already a little bit more swift and powerful than the Countryman SD that we currently have. Especially noticeable compared to the torque converter with this PDK that just shifts instantly. And another nice feature that we currently don't have is a lane change assist. And as to be expected from a Porsche or wheel drive system, the torque split is rear wheel biased. As I think mentioned earlier, really nice to have the navigation there in the gauge cluster. However, the distance is not as visible as it is in our Countryman currently. But obviously the graphics became way more fancy the last years. So this concludes our first car review. Overall pretty impressed by the Porsche Macan mini SUV, luxury, quality, leather, interior and everything. Of course this was a small engine, but even the small engine consumed 8 liter when you drive really slow, like 100 km per hour. If you drive 120 and such as right sometimes, you get more like 10 liter or so. And if you race drive, you get obviously 12, 13, 14, 15 liter and such. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something, and I hope to see you soon for the next videos to come.